What's up guys, Matt here coming at you with another quick video. This one we're going to take a look at some of the mods I did to the Redcat Ascent. Some of these really weren't necessary, some of them were just things I wanted to do. Whether it helps or not, I don't know, but we're going to find out. A couple things right off you'll notice. I did swap the servo out. Not really necessary. The stock one is fine. It will get you by. I'm just a servo snob. I love these ShiftRC servos. This is the GT3 1025 or something like that. I don't know. It does really, really well. I got the Fusion in here, the Fusion SE. You know, Outrunners, I do them in so much. I didn't want an Outrunner in this. I wanted to keep it quiet, and this is what I wanted to do. So I did a Fusion in here. I did go ahead and switch it over to my radio link transmitter. And the main reason for that is just because I really like this truck and I wanted that transmitter. The other reason is it has a much better throttle control. I get such a better slow crawl with that transmitter than the stock one. It's pretty amazing. I should have showed you guys how this thing crawls with the stock one. It is very good still with the SE, but when I put the radio link on it, like I can make this thing crawl to where you'll see the spur turning and not even really see the tires moving. I call BS, bro. All right, so let's check it out. Right here, you'll see it with the radio link. Now, it's not much of a difference. I mean, it's really not. And you can get it to barely slow crawl with the stock setup. It's just a little bit harder. With the radio link, it really just seems like it picks up that throttle so much quicker, and you can see that spur moving and barely even see the tires moving at all. Now watch when I switch to the stock transmitter. I go back right here to the stock transmitter, and it's just a little more like it's quicker to take off, really. Like you lose that tiny little bit. I mean, you can get it. You just have to be very, very, very careful on the transmitter. And on average, you're going to start up a little bit quicker than you do with a slightly better radio. Definitely not really necessary, once again, but I have the radio link. I really like running most of my trucks on the one transmitter, so why not switch? A couple other things you can see very easily. I just did away with this battery tray because I mounted my battery here. I did do a shorter strap, and I put some Velcro on the bottom here so that it's really in there now. I had some trouble with that coming out on my initial run because I was using a strap. It was too long here, nothing holding the bottom, so it was sliding out on me every now and then. So kind of address that a little bit. Next, I would say you can definitely see the mini T springs on these shocks. So the front, I left alone as far as the internal shock. I did redo the oil in all of these. I have like a 30 weight oil in these, and they feel pretty good. The rears may be a little soft. I may end up stiffening them up or going with the firm spring on here. So the mini T springs come with a soft, medium, firm, basically. I have the softs in the front, and then in the rear, I am running the medium, and I took the inner spring out so we get more travel out of the rear. So this thing has all of the flex I really want it to have now. Before, it really didn't flex at all, and I think we're going to be pretty good now. So that's one of those I'm going to have to run it and just kind of see and tweak it and dial it. Next, I would say, well, one simple mod. I moved this bumper back. It has 2 or 3 different adjustments. I moved it back one more notch just because that's a little more clearance in the front. So slid that back. On the bottom, a couple things I did. You'll see maybe here, I flipped these link mounts. I didn't flip the front because it's kind of going to get in the way of the panhard bar, and you can't really bring this link up anymore. It's going to hit the drive shaft. If I move this up, it's going to be hitting the drive shaft. It was very, very tight against the stock one. That's why I have a metal shaft on the front. It's just a little smaller in diameter, so it clears this link. I was able to turn these links up like high clearance links. So that's why I have that drive shaft. Not a big fan of this drive shaft, but I'm going to use it for now anyways. Then, like I was saying, on the rear here, I just rotated that around, and I'll throw a picture up here to where you can see how it was before. But these were hanging way down here, so we gained all of that clearance. And then I used some Capra links. These are 121 millimeter right here, the Club 5. I think they're the extended Capra links. I'm not sure. They were just leftovers. So these are some stock ones up here. Not exactly sure the length on those, but kind of just made that work to get some sort of high clearance links here in the rear. I am running them like this. Some people run them the other way. I don't like these S links. I was going to flip that around so you could see it, but I like the clearance here. And then by the time I'm getting to this point, it's keeping me off the drive shaft, and my tires are usually catching at that point. So we're gaining the clearance here. Some people prefer to flip them, and you got more clearance back here, but then you're snagging your drive shaft all the time. One thing, when I did extend this, so these links are a little bit longer than the stock links. So it extended the wheelbase a little bit, which I was kind of thinking I wanted to do to bring the rear back a hair, just because this is a kind of short build out of the box. So when I extended that, this rear drive shaft would fall out. It was plenty long enough, but since this doesn't have it would slide all the way one way or the other, and then it would just fall out. So I just pulled an old trick that I've done many times and stuffed some stuff down in here, like plastic, actually. Just crammed a piece of a plastic bag down in here to where this will move, and it doesn't mess with the suspension at all. It does what it needs to, but it stays kind of centered. And that keeps the shaft in. It's part of the reason why I ordered some new drive shafts, is to replace this if I have an issue. But for now, I think this is going to work okay. I don't think I can even make it fall out. So if you do go this route and extend this, just know you'll have to do something with your drive shaft. Another simple mod, I did do this Treal brass portal cover. One thing about it is you gain just a hair probably on your steering, because the stock cover sticks out like this. This one doesn't stick out quite as far, and this link was stopping on it, so we gained just a hair, but it's going to help. Now, another thing I did was just flip these screws right here. They were the other way on mine, with this hanging down. So I just thought if these were up, it's less likely to snag on something. So I did order some portal covers for this. I'm not sure that I'll even need them now, honestly, but it gives me the option to kind of tune a little bit if I need more weight. I have the rear and the front coming, so that's something I can play around with. But besides that, I think that pretty much covers everything I did with it. A couple more things real quick before we run. I did kind of forget. I trimmed the bottom off of these body posts, because the way I have everything mounted now, I'm getting travel all the way up to here. These stuck down and would hit the axle, so I just cut those off, and I'm getting full travel now, like all the way down to the axle basically. And then I seen somebody in the comments of my original video talking about removing these tires from these wheels, and it's actually very easy. I used this right here, and I got this side loose in about 5 minutes, and you can see the tire is not in bad shape. I would probably, you could put these on a bead lock, but I was thinking it might be kind of cool to wrap this inner wheel with some weight. I used to use the weights that we use on like car wheels. You can get a roll of them that's with the sticky back, slap a bunch of weight in there, put a dual stage foam in it instead of the stock foam, and you would have these stock wheels and tires stock and could really pull a fast one on some people because you'd have dual stage with quite a bit of weight in there. So I was playing around with that, but this came off very easy. You can see there's a little bit of residue, and it may not glue back the greatest. You could probably take the Dremel with like a sanding wheel and just hit that a little bit, clean that edge up. Honestly, I'm not worried about it. Like if I glue these back, I'm probably not going to run them like serious, you know, a lot, but I may just end up trying these on some different wheels. I haven't decided yet, so I haven't removed the other side, but just go around this all the way around, get some on it, and then just start pulling at it, and you'll notice it will start to come loose. When it starts to come loose, add a little more, let it run down those seams. Somebody told me that if you used heat, a little bit of heat on it as you're doing this, it helps a lot. These, I didn't have to. It was so easy. It was so simple that, I mean, it took me literally 5 minutes to get this side off. So that's the way to do it. I think I got this at Hobby Lobby. I'll try to link this brand in the description, but I honestly think I picked this up at Hobby Lobby one time, and it's been very useful. So I was able to get out again with this thing after the mods. We had a pretty good crew of old roughnecks that showed up to get some running in, and had a good day. I did somewhat find a weak point. I dropped this thing off a pretty good ledge and broke a front lower link. So I had another link that would fit it. I was just gonna have to change the rod ends out and everything because they were too small, and I just kind of put it up and started running the G-Shot, and then we went to the creek and I ran the 6 and the Rift and all that. So my time got cut a little short with it, but you can see it nailed that side hill right there. Here's Dakota's 10.2 build. If you watched my first Redcat video, you've seen it in there. It's a very capable truck. It makes it across this barely. He almost washed out right there, but he got that side hill as well. And then there's my old Capra. Believe it or not, it's back in town, and it's slightly different from when I had it, but you'll see it's got just a little bit much weight up high and don't quite make this. And then we've got the base camp that Rob just kind of got it built, and this was its first time out, so I don't think he has it quite tuned. He's kind of like I am with the Redcat, you know, he's still tweaking things, but his front washes out on this a little bit. It don't look like it's a hard spot at all, but it is a little steeper than it looks, and so I was pleased that the Redcat made it through there with no issues. I actually made it a couple times, and so I was pretty happy with it. This thing, side hill is one thing where it will struggle a little bit just because it's a very narrow build, which is really good in some tight spots, you know, like that Capra that just went through there. Those things sit crazy wide, the Capra axles. Well, this Redcat is really narrow, so it's nice and nimble, and it can get through some very tight spots. You just have to really watch what you're doing on side hill because it is narrow. I'm possibly going to run just a slightly wider hex on it to gain like a millimeter or two on each side, widen it up just a little bit because we do a lot of like side hill stuff, and I feel like it could use just a little bit more width. But being super narrow really comes in handy at times. You kind of have to pick your poison, you know. And here's another little bit of a side hill. I struggled more with getting traction on this one. I'm still trying to break these tires in. They are a newer set of, they're older KLRs I've had for a while, but I've never really ran them much to break them in. And honestly, I mean, those are some of my favorite tires, but when they're new, they're just okay. So I've kind of like decided I'm going to have to break these in at some point. And so I tried to run them all day here. You'll see the Capra. This is my father-in-law's Capra. Being really wide, he just kind of hooks that front left very easily. And then he's running the Ruptures, which are slightly larger. Helps him just kind of get over that bottom there and just walk right up it.
Them tires right there are good.
Here's another spot where the stock truck would kind of struggle starting at anything at an angle like that. Now, this is a pretty simple spot. but I was pleased with kind of how we were getting a little more flex. I'm getting a lot of body rub now, so I'm definitely going to trim the fenders front and back to hopefully help that. You can see it's not a terrible spot. The Capra sitting nice and wide went straight up it, but definitely need to trim the body now that I'm getting a little more flex because it rubbed quite a bit. And then I do want to go ahead and add that weight to the front. The front shock mounts on this truck are really one of my only complaints. You don't have many options at all, and you kind of limit your travel wherever you mount the shocks. So I may end up pulling those springs out of the front shocks as well, just because where they're mounted right now, they're kind of high up, so I'm not getting a lot of travel anyways. And then you got the panhard bar on the front, which kind of limits you a bit. So like I almost think I could take those springs out. Now they're a very stiff spring rate. If I could get a thinner rate that would work inside of these shocks, I would probably be really happy with them. But I'm gonna have to play around with that, or maybe I'll drill a couple new holes in the chassis to mount the front shocks in a slightly different position. But this line here, really pleased with it. If I had just a little more weight in the front, I think it would have helped me get started at the bottom here, and then it would have definitely helped me on the next rock straight ahead of the Redcat here. I think with a little more weight in the front, I could have almost kind of got the front to hook on the next rock and just pull up slowly like I do here. But I had to kind of rely on getting a bounce and bouncing up the next rock. That's one thing it probably wouldn't have done with the stock motor and ESC either. Having this Fusion in here, I've definitely got more punch, a little more zip in this thing, and you'll see I was able to punch it and just kind of get a bounce and get up and over the next rock. And the Redcat and Dakota's 10-2 build down there, I think, are the only ones that really made this complete line. So definitely pleased that it got it done. You can see there, I almost lost it and then made it with a little wheelie out. So I'm really happy with that climb. I know that this thing would have dumped out right there where I almost lost it in stock form. It would have just fell over. So that's where just playing around with the stock shocks has helped me. You know, getting more travel out of that rear kind of helped me keep it on its tires there. So really the best advice I can give is just like start changing things, play around with stuff. People always ask, well, what's the best for this or the best for that? And really, like, everybody's styles are different. Traction's different everywhere. You kind of just got to change one thing at a time and then go run it and see how it does, you know. I kind of get to where anymore I make a lot of mods at once when I get something, just because I kind of know what a truck needs in this area to perform. But even sometimes I'll move something and I'm like, I shouldn't have done that, and move it back, you know. So it's all about just playing around with stuff. You can see Dakota looped out on this, and then he went back and redeemed himself by getting a bounce up this rock here as well. And this angle shows it's a little bit more steep than what it looked like on the other angle. And that's why I like to show other trucks running these lines, you know. Even though this video is really about the Redcat, it helps to see other trucks trying these same lines, because you don't just have to take my word for it and believe me that, like, oh, well, everybody struggled on this. If I don't show it, there's no proof there. So I like to show it. This line right here, you can see Dakota just kind of walked up that, and then none of us were able to ever get anything to like hook and just walk up that again. Even him, he couldn't. He came back and tried and could not get it to bite like he did that first time. And so we ended up kind of having to bounce up this. Right there is where you can see I need more weight in the front or a little more travel. So I'm going to try adding the weight to see if I can get a little bit more compression out of those inner springs on the front. But they are a very stiff spring rate. So I don't know if the weight's going to do it or if I'm going to have to find a lighter gauge spring to go in those or just remove them. But my passenger side just kept lifting bad on this rock, and Like I said, we couldn't get it to hook at the bottom and get over that lip like he did any more than the first time that he did it. It was crazy. But we were able to go back and bounce up it. You can see here the Capra. I kind of thought the Capra being slightly longer and wider, and it might just be able to hook and go. But we were laughing there because my father-in-law was like, well, I'm done. Don't take me long to give up. I'm moving on. And so he's just like, I'm moving on to the next spot. But here you can see Rob brought out his Vanquish that he just got built, and it's really all stock at this point. So he wasn't able to get up it with it either. Very nice looking truck. I love the look of that. He's almost kind of sold me on getting one of those. But I've just got a lot of trucks right now, and I really don't need another one. But I love the look of that thing. It looks amazing. And having the selectable overdrive and the dig and everything would be sweet. And that's one thing I really like to have on my trucks is dig. And I think using dig, even on this rock right here, would have helped. Because you can get your front onto something, hit that dig, and it will kind of just really dig in and pull the entire chassis. And sometimes you can pull your rear tires where that has the huge overhang at the bottom. You can kind of really pull your rear tires into that rock, and then when you engage the rear again, it'll grab and pull up and over that. Whereas when you're trying to just pull straight up on it without using dig, you just kind of spin and don't get the traction that you need. But if you lock a dig like right there, it'll suck that truck back down into that rock and settle everything down, and then you can just pull right up it a lot of times. So dig for me is like cheating. I mean, it really is. So I'd love to have dig on this truck, but you can't put it on all of them. You kind of, it's not fair. If I go out and nobody else has dig, I almost feel like it's pretty easy to feel like you got a cheater rig. So that's what's fun about this Redcat is it's kind of evenly matched with a few others, and just taking it and seeing if I can get it to perform as well as some of my other trucks. And there you can see I finally got the bounce. I told everybody I wasn't leaving until I got that with the Redcat. So I'm glad it finally did it, or I'd still be there. But you'll see the Capra there, not quite able to get that one done either. And again, that's why I like to show other trucks hitting the same lines, just so you can kind of see how different trucks are going to react on different stuff. Each one kind of has their thing that they're maybe better at than the next. And so that's where different styles and different trucks and setups and stuff really come into play. And here's the Vanquish trying this line that I just did with the Redcat. It's a pretty tough line, because while you're trying to get up onto the bottom rock that you can't hardly even see there because of the leaves and stuff, your front is coming into the next rock. So it's a challenging line. The Redcat did it pretty easily. I was surprised that it did it so well. And really, I was happy with that one. Everybody's like, what? Where'd you go? Like, I want to try that one, And that's the cool thing. Like, you go find something like that. I don't know if we've even hit this rock before, but I made it up it, and then everybody wanted to go try it, And I know the Redcat made it a couple times, and Dakota's truck made it as well, I think. But I think that was the only two that made it up this one. Again, there you can see the Redcat really handles this spot well, and those V-gaps like this are a lot of fun because you get just enough clearance on the belly to get them through, and it's just about getting the right bit of traction and going right up. And again, a little more weight in the front would have made that even easier, but it made it look pretty easy overall anyways.
No.
I swear to God, every time I've taken this thing out, like something.
You smell it. It smells like something burnt. Keep going. Like nothing's hot though, is it?
don't feel real hot. It's not real hot. Maybe it's just it's breaking in.
Breaking in. Burning that new off. But it stopped. You know what I mean? Like it just totally.
Oh, it shut down?
It shuts down.
Oh, yeah, it's hitting like a thermal protection, probably. Yeah.
I'm going to get the
This is where I started to get myself in trouble. When I start doing downhill lines, I love doing downhill like hanger lines and stuff. And I'll just find like big rocks and just be like, yeah, I think I can go down that. You know, and this one's not bad. I've been down this quite a few times. And you'll see the Redcat does very well. It kind of hangs in there and makes it down that. I had to punch it a little bit there at the bottom, but I like to see, you know, how well I can come down stuff like that. And then it kind of got me in the mood of just doing a lot of downhill crazy stuff. And a little later, I drop off a pretty tall ledge. I mean, it's at least probably 4 or 5 foot tall. Depending where you're standing, it could be 6 feet. So it's pretty good ledge that I ended up dropping off of when I broke the link. So like, I can't really complain about the link breaking, you know. Do I feel like it should have broke? Probably not, but it did take a good hard fall. So it's kind of on me, you know, for being that rough on it. I've broke my bully link out here, same kind of area. Not doing the same thing, but you know, it happens. I did order some Element Ecto links that were the exact same length as the stock links on this. I don't know if those links are any good or not, you know, but they were really cheap on amain. I'll link them in the description. I haven't got them in yet, so I can't say 100% like if they're a straight swap over or if I'll have to change the rod ends or whatever. But I'm going to try those and see how they do. But it had a nice little fun session of just kind of everybody rolling along, following each other for a minute here, and then kind of branched off trying some crazy lines and stuff, and just ended up snapping that front link. But I think I like the mods I made on this Redcat so far. I still got a little bit of stuff to work out. You know, that's just part of it. I'm not quite getting what I want out of the front end yet, and I'm hoping maybe the weight will help to compress those stiffer springs that are limiting the front. They're just very stiff. I like the inner spring, but I wish they had went just a little bit lighter gauge on them. But besides that, I really like how it's sitting. I got to trim the body. The rear is almost sitting kind of slammed. That's why I'm probably going to stiffen that up just a little bit. But part of that is just because of the way I move the rear shocks at an angle, and I can't the front ones because you're just very limited on shock mounting points in the front. So that's my main complaint with this, is just the front end. I'm trying to figure out the best place to mount the shocks and what to do with it. But I can drill, you know, like I said, some holes and remount them, but I was trying to deal with what I had and make something work. But you can see I got started on these downhill lines, and then just kept finding bigger and bigger spots. It was doing really, really good, and you can see that nice creep with the Fusion. Has a very good drag brake hold on it for $69, $79. Those things are unbelievable, hard to beat. So you guys let me know what you think about the Redcat. Do you think it performed better now with these mods? Here's the ledge I ended up breaking it on. And you can see, I mean, it's a good 4 foot probably. And it was making it down it really well. I just, at the very bottom, there was a ledge where you were going to drop off, you know, 6 or 8 inches. And then it was all about if you just landed right, if you were going to be able to make it. And we didn't end up making it, and ended up breaking the Redcat. So that ended the day for this thing, but I got a few tweaks to make on it, and then I'll get back out with it. You know, it's pouring down rain for like the last day and a half, so hopefully that'll quit soon and I can get back out here with it again. So waiting on a few parts, and then I'll have this thing up and running and ready to test some more. You guys let me know what you think about it. I appreciate you. If you stuck around this long, you're amazing. I'll link everything I used in the description. If you use those links, it helps out the channel. I try to put up affiliate links just because it helps me keep going and picking up things to try and test and all that fun stuff. So I appreciate you guys sticking around. Peace.
As soon as you hit that one little lip, it just.
That's where that winch come into play, isn't it?
I just kind of had to, just as soon as that momentum started going, you just had to go with it.
I wanted to ease down and land on that ledge, but I don't think it's gonna happen.
You want to back up, Berg?
They must get RC four-wheel drive to make their links. Had the same problem with theirs.
Yeah.